If you have shoulder issues, this video is for you.
Let us help you understand how your daily regular activities change the way your shoulder behaves.
And the 3 key principles which you need to practice for a better shoulder.
I'm Amelia.
I'm Anthony.
And we are your physiotherapists at River Physio.
Most people think that shoulder pain happens suddenly, but it whispers long before it actually screams. Those whispers are like small pinches, small weaknesses, and small stiffness. But life is busy, we brush them off.
What are we brushing off?
The shoulder pain.
The shoulder pain.
Wow, thanks Anthony for that poem. So here's what we really want you to understand about your shoulder. Your shoulder does not age based on your birthday. In fact, it ages based on how you use it.
Let's look at different people and how they load their shoulder differently, because each and every person brings a unique shoulder story. For instance, here, a desk-based worker, she's not even lifting anything heavy here. She's sitting in this position for almost 3 to 4 hours, let's assume. So it doesn't mean that the muscles are not working. The muscles are still constantly contracting without changing in the length. That is exactly what we call as isometric contractions. So those are still contractions, and your body adapts to this posture over a period of time, causing rounded shoulders, poor posture, and resulting in shoulder and neck pain.
And as a gym goer, the load is entirely different. You push and you pull. And in fact, most people push more than they pull. So strong front and fatigued back. So that's where the rotator cuff takes on more of the load.
And if you play badminton, your shoulder works very fast and creates overhead movements, which in turn results in front dominance, weaker rotator cuff muscles, and then your scapula has to keep up with that. Parents, for instance, your shoulder carries everything for you every day. Carrying your child, lifting, carrying everything, doing on one-sided most of the time takes a toll.
All those that we spoke about stresses the shoulder a little bit too much. The upper traps then takes over, acting like a guard, and hence the neck starts to feel stiff.
That's why in our clinic, we never see a shoulder or neck separately. They are always overlapped most of the time, and they talk to each other. Shoulder pains don't start dramatically, they start quietly. Difficulty buckling in your seat belt, putting your hands in the back pocket. You feel a pinch when you down your shirt, a feeling of heaviness, and then the night pain begins. And for some people, one day the arm stops lifting, and that's where the stiffness pattern kicks in. Now when someone comes to me for a shoulder pain, I don't just measure the range or the strength. That matters, but that's not the whole story.
Exactly. The real question is, what has this shoulder really gone through? Or what has this person's life demanded from the shoulder?
So this is the biopsychosocial model. We are not treating a joint. We are treating a human being with a shoulder who has lived his life. If you don't change the pattern, then the pain will return. Most shoulder issues falls into 3 classic patterns. The first one is the impingement pattern or the pinch, where you would see a classic pattern where you were not able to lift your arm sideways beyond 90 degrees, but you'll be able to lift this well in the front angle or the front plane. So you feel a slight pinch here. Your muscles in the back, called as the rotator cuff muscles, usually go weaker. Your posture changes, and you feel a sharp pinch, and that's the classic impingement or the pinch pattern. The next one is the weakness pattern, the rotator cuff tendinopathy, the muscles in the back which holds your shoulder and allow it to rotate, move around in different planes. So those has been holding and helping you for years together, and for now those muscles have become weaker and tired, resulting in dull, aching pain, which usually shows us a night pain. That's a classic pattern. When I talk about night pain, is like when you sleep on the same side where you have pain, usually it bothers you, doesn't allow, so it starts to pain more during the sleep rather than during the daytime. This weakness pattern results not over, it doesn't happen overnight, but happens over years and months of imbalance. The third type is the stiff and the angry shoulder. We call it, the frozen shoulder type. So it usually happens in 40s and 50s and more common in women than in men. And in this type, what happens is the capsules which is around the shoulder, which is like a small sleeve around the shoulder, they become thicker and stiffer, and they inflame, which in turn results in a tight capsule, not allowing you to move your shoulder in any direction. So this is another pattern. In this, we find it is very difficult to move it more inwards than outwards. So that's a classic frozen shoulder pattern. We call clinically as the stiff or the angular shoulder.
Different patterns, but of the same root cause. Basically, a shoulder that's been adapted long in the wrong direction.
So diagnosis is not just lifting your arm, testing your shoulder, moving and all those things. It is about identifying the patterns, the causes, and trying to modify it and treat them. So it's not exactly going and taking a picture, an MRI, to find what exactly has happened over there. It is very visibly in your eyes, like what has happened in your shoulder pattern, and you try and treat it. And there are enough evidence to support that modifying the shoulder patterns actually improves shoulder, and with right exercises, most of the shoulder problem can be solved considerably.
So in general, diagnosis is not just about testing your range or your muscle strength, but it's more about looking at the shoulder and the scapular pattern itself. And usually we do not need a MRI or X-ray or any imaging, because just by understanding how the shoulder pattern is with the corrective exercises for these shoulder patterns, most shoulder pain improves by just identifying the right pattern and with corrective exercise.
So how to take care of your shoulder? There are 3 basic principles how to take care of your shoulder. First thing is calming your shoulder down. Avoid carrying weights on one side of the shoulder. Reduce overhead work. Don't sleep on the painful shoulder. Take micro break during desk work.
Calming pain isn't about shutting down the shoulder, it's about loading smarter.
The second principle is restoring the movement. Start with some simple movements once the pain subsides and the shoulder calms down, like for instance, pendulum swing. So one tip in a pendulum swing is to drop your shoulder, allow the gravity to take over, and swing along with the gravity. So that is more of a way to do a pendulum swing. The next one is wall slides. So lean on the shoulder with your butt on the wall, your back on the shoulder on the wall, your scapula touching the wall, and then you can just move like, so that helps your shoulder move with your trunk arrested, and some gentle external rotation. In the same position, you can try and open up a little bit. A shoulder that moves well heals well. The third principle is to build strength and control in the right order. The most important thing is to start with the rotator cuff muscles. They are the stabilizers of the shoulder. They attach from the bone in the back called scapula into the arm over here, and they hold and stabilize and steady, as if like it's steadying the ship. It's like an anchor. It holds up very steadily. So if you strengthen this group of muscles first, then your shoulder is held well. Then followed by shoulder blade control. The shoulder blade controls are those muscles which are between the 2 bones right behind here, the scapula. So they hold the scapula in a steady position, and the whole of your arm is sitting on this bone, and we are stabilizing this scapular bone. And once it is steady enough, it becomes easier for us to train the bigger muscles like pectoralis major, your latissimus dorsi, your trapezius, and that's the right way to do it. And then comes the bigger muscles. So now once you steady these 2 things, you have steadied the shape and you can play around. You can strengthen the pectoralis major, your chest muscles, your biceps, your triceps, your trapezius, and all those things which comes later part. I understand that not everyone is a gym goer. There are people who in their regular walks of life walk their shoulder for many years, over decades, and then eventually have one of these patterns. So for them, you don't even need to go to a gym. So all you need is a water bottle, a couple of proper exercises in the right sequence and progression at the right time. Your shoulder has been adapting to your entire life.
Your work, your routine, your stress, your responsibilities.
Now it's your turn to take it.
So, if ever your shoulder bothers you,
We are here to shoulder your shoulder. Come and meet us at River Physio.
It's good, but you-
in the wrong direction.
That's good. I'm on the end.
You're supposed
Then
to
he's
say
gonna
the work
support-
at the desk.
No, because that dialogue comes. She's making me pull more than they pull.